Alright, what's up everybody, it's your boy Duplace here. We're back with another reaction video for you guys. I'm gonna get back to the gaming soon, but the RAM prices right now are insane, and I figured I need to do a video talking about this, or a reaction to this, to see what the other YouTubers are saying, because I've seen some crazy prices. Alright, so today we're checking out Gamers, what the hell is going on with the RAM prices, by Gaming Bolt. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, turn on post notifications, all of that good stuff. Socials in the description, and let's get into it with no further ado.
It's no secret that the current generation of gaming hardware is capable of running some truly incredible experiences that stretch the boundaries of gaming as a medium. And while PCs have always been great machines for those among you who like to have their games running at
You know, off topic, but I always love to see a PC case that is compact. Look at this, look how neat the interior looks, and then the different layers falling back and then collapsing back in. I don't really like glass door PCs because I feel like that would break. Obviously it's glass. So it's nice to see inside of it. I'm not gonna lie, with the RGB lights and the water cooling and all of that stuff. But yeah, obviously there's a risk of fragility.
Performing consoles as a result. Recent developments
there it is, the glass door one
for many gamers. We're talking about the fact that a standard PS5, on which you get to play the majority of big releases and even a few great exclusives too, now costs less than a 64GB DDR5 RAM kit for your PC.
Yep, I've seen the prices go as high as like $1,000. I think it was 64 gigs of RAM. 64 gigs of RAM. Yeah, exactly. Look, this is what this is. 64 gigs of RAM. I've seen numbers as high as 1,000. On eBay.
$600 for a part that's quite important
and Amazon.
Output of your rig. Building out your dream PC now threatens to make a nightmare out of your finances. You could snag a PS5 Pro for that kind of
and
cash
it already
if you
did.
pick one up via the Cyber Monday deals on Amazon at the time of writing this article. But is this spike in component prices temporary or a sign of harder times to come? What's behind it? What do we recommend for those of you thinking of upgrading your old PC? Join us as we take a look at the phenomenon that's rather unprecedented, and perhaps an opportunity for the gaming industry to take things in its stride as the next year unfolds. It's a good idea to take a wider view of the problem before we get down to how it affects us all, considering we're at one extreme of supply chains and competing with other stakeholders whose needs are far greater than ours on the memory front. It isn't just...
Yes. And as he segues into that, well, it might be an AI voice, I think it is, but he's referring to the AI data centers because, you know, AI is the new move now. Companies are employing it, so they're, how did it go again? Yeah, they're purchasing, essentially the economics of it is that they're purchasing in bulk. No. I think I have that wrong. Their profit margins on selling to the AI data centers for companies, obviously, Microsoft, Google, Bing. I said Bing, not Bing. Amazon. Did I say that already? Microsoft, Amazon, Google, whatever. The big companies that need the data centers, and even smaller ones, I imagine. The profit margins the companies make selling the RAM to them is much higher than they would get on the consumer market. That's essentially what's going on. I actually watched the video on this, so that's how I know this. And yeah, so they'd make way more profit selling to them. It's always profit. It's always money related. So it makes more sense to sell to them with higher profit margins than to sell to the consumer market. So that's why we're seeing the prices that we're seeing, because, well, I'm guessing the supply is a lot lower now for the consumer market. So naturally, basic economics, low supply, high demand, high prices.
Dearer to own. Parts like DRAM, SSD, NAND, and even HDDs are beginning to become quite a strain on consumer wallets. But why? AI. AI is the answer. DRAM, SSDs, and HDDs are now facing an almost overwhelming spike in demand thanks to AI data centers, while memory chips face a similar situation thanks to their crucial role in AI servers. It's a situation that's rather unique according to the leading voices from manufacturers and others in the industry. ADATA's chairman, for instance, has commented on the insatiable upstream demand for components from AI data centers, while Samsung has raised prices on its memory chips by up to 60% in a single increase, a potential attempt to offset the overwhelming demand it is facing thanks to the AI boom. PC manufacturers are finding their own ways of chiming in, warning investors that a shortage of parts, thanks to the demand from the AI side of things, is going to eat into PC margins and perhaps even require a revision of pricing models if things come to it. Retailers are already moving to spot pricing on RAM, fixed price tags making no sense anymore thanks to wild fluctuations in pricing. And while we're on the subject of prices, it's alarming to think that a DDR5 kit costs 3 times as much today as it did just a year ago. And it's reportedly the first time in 30 years that we've seen such a shortage of RAM.
What is this? I've never seen this. Trident Z5 Royal. I have to Google this. Golden RAM chips. Saudi Arabian RAM chips. Crazy work. Saudi Arabian RAM chips. Hold on. Let me see the gold. These must cost an absolute fortune. This is what, 64 gigs? Oh, it's 48. 8400 mega transfers per second. That's pretty high. The luxury class of overclock performance. Designed for Intel platforms. Alright, anyway, back to this.
We've been discussing. But how does...
Let me go back real quick. It looks like this is made of diamonds. That's what it looks like. This is unnecessarily ostentatious. They should have just stuck with the RGB. I'm not saying it's not pretty, it is.
We've been discussing. But how does that affect gamers and console manufacturers? Aside from the obvious burden on PC owners who might now have to hold off on their next upgrade with likely consequences
I might want to buy this
plans if there isn't a solution in sight, it's likely that console owners might also face the brunt of it. As far as PC gamers go, the new prices on 32 or 64GB DDR5 RAM kits is now a significant percentage of a new rig, instead of a nifty add-on that unlocks more potential for great gaming experiences. That makes an entry into PC quite prohibitive, and could affect sales of gaming PCs since consoles are a cheaper and perhaps a more convenient solution at that price point. Indeed, with the PS5 Pro costing what it does, somebody torn between a gaming PC and Sony's behemoth might just throw in the towel and choose the latter. With some attractive bundles on Sony's exclusives, they might even
I am going to choose the latter for now.
Themed after their favorite new game. If going custom isn't your thing, it still isn't a reason to sigh with relief. Pre-assembled machines might come with 16GB onboard to offset rising costs, making them a less than desirable option for gaming since many new games are increasingly recommending 32GB of RAM for smooth performance.
32, yeah.
Choosing to upgrade is
I wouldn't go below 32 at this point. Minus, with the exception of consoles, obviously, and the Steam machine, which you can upgrade the RAM in, which I think I would. Because if the Steam Deck has 16 gigs of RAM, and its GPU is like PS4 level, probably a little higher in terms of performance, then I would think, okay, the GPU in this is 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck. I think 32 sounds about right. 6 times the GPU performance for double the RAM. That sounds, because like you wouldn't want to put RAM in. You don't want to have a device where the GPU is not powerful enough to warrant you putting in so much RAM. It's like those PC handhelds with 32 gigs of RAM. It's like it's like the GPU isn't powerful enough to even warrant you having that much RAM. I think so. I would say, although they're getting pretty powerful, I would say the Z2 Extreme is just right where you would say, yeah, it warrants having that much. 64 gig is overkill though. It's not that powerful that it requires that much RAM. So how I think of it, and I'm saying this again for the 3rd time, I'm repeating myself. I think the huge RAM upgrades I would do when my GPU is beefy enough, and of course the CPU as well. So naturally, if you have a very beefy GPU, you're probably going to have a CPU that's somewhere in its CPU equivalent league of the GPU.
Quite high, and it's likely that a lot of gamers are going to settle for playing on minimum specs. PC gamers looking to upgrade might choose to delay their plans, and it might even be a prudent option to do so if your setup is recent enough to withstand what the next year or so of games has to offer. On a more granular level, installing massive games on your machines, be it old or new, might get more painful as your 2 to 4 terabyte NVMe drives aren't as cheap as they were in the last couple of years. If you're a console owner and wondering if you've managed to escape the worst of it, you're only partially correct. Yes, your next upgrade is still a while away, and you can take solace in the knowledge that you're going to be able to play everything that comes along in the interim. But there's still going to be a price to pay if you take a long-term view of things. Considering that we're now well into the final leg of the current generation of gaming hardware, and
which doesn't even feel right, because it's like, bro, I don't even feel like we've gotten that many games to warrant a console. It doesn't. I know it's going 6 years now. It's going 6 years. It hasn't been 6 years yet. It's 5 years and some months. No, it doesn't feel complete. In fact, it doesn't even feel like it's halfway there yet. That does not compute with me.
Microsoft beginning to look at potential successors to their current offerings. It's safe to guess that manufacturers have to start at some point, and with prices on memory being up at anything between 30 to 60%, it's safe to say that console manufacturers are going to see higher bills of materials and increased costs. And with those costs eating into their margins in a highly competitive space, it's going to be interesting to see if the gaming industry's biggest names are going to be able to absorb the hit, pass it on to their consumers, or find some sort of middle ground between the two. But what we can expect is fewer price cuts on new consoles, and mid-gen upgrades might not be as generous as they are now, or might bring a beefier stat sheet but at a significantly higher price tag, just like their PC counterparts. It's a situation with price increases all around, and it might be that way for the foreseeable future. And let's not forget, dear friends, the scalpers, who thrive on the chaos of limited supply on high-demand products, who can jack up prices even further in the event that things don't improve.
What kills me too is a lot of them, they have bots monitoring sites, and as soon as stock is available, they have the bot auto-buy it, and then they resell it. I kind of want to participate in that insanity one day when I get my money up.
That could make it even harder for the average gamer to get their hands on quality parts for PC, and even consoles might get a little out of reach if there are any supply issues like the PS5 had when it was first released. The best minds in the industry have only bad news about potential timelines for the issues to resolve itself. It's likely that things are going to get worse before they get better, a prediction that's backed by ADATA and Samsung. Retailers are looking at RAM as a quickly moving commodity as opposed to a stable PC part, evidenced by spot pricing. And with demand on the AI side of things only increasing, 2026 might just be worse than 2025 until manufacturers are able to ramp up production to meet demand, along with a window for those supply chains to stabilize. Only increasing.
Wait, hold on. What is this?
Might just be worse than 2020.
Is it Cyberpunk? I haven't gotten this far. Hold on. Cyberpunk rocket takeoff. It has to be Cyberpunk because I see Johnny Silverhand there. So
until manufacturers are able to ramp up production to meet demand, along with a window for those supply chains to stabilize. But
I've never seen that footage before.
And analysts are glumly forecasting a sort of new normal for high-priced RAM and SSDs. But things aren't too bleak with a little luck on your side. For instance, if you're on a 32GB DDR RAM setup, you're probably going to ride out the wait quite comfortably, with no real reason for urgency in your upgrade timeline. If this has dampened your excitement for a new build, but you're...
I will say though, and I said it before at the beginning of the video, just looking at the PC case and seeing the RGB lights on the RAM would just be a pretty sight. And that's on top of the already installed RGB lighting for the rest of the PC.
Anyway, prioritize your GPU and CPU in that order over your RAM, and stick to a sensible 32GB DDR
CPU and GPU first.
Over any ultra-fast 64GB ones. You might want to wish list a few components that you need to get notified on promotions or sales in order to get your prices down, and perhaps even see if you can get some good deals on trade-ins, if that's an option for you. Console owners, the fallout from this particular situation is still a little whiles away, but you might want to start saving up for your next machine and expect free discounts. You might not have to compromise too much on performance though, and since you can't upgrade RAM on your machine,
I'm not too worried about the future machines because PS5 Pro and PS5 are not going anywhere anytime soon. The PS4 is still kicking, so yeah, they can't really throw it away yet because there's so many people still on that system. I'm thinking GTA 6 is gonna be like the mass exodus of people moving from PS4 to PS5. I'm thinking that's gonna really shift the market.
Time is certainly easier in the short term. It's going to be interesting to see how things pan out over the course of a new year. Here's to keeping the hope alive for a quicker and more efficient solution to the problem that currently has the gaming industry on the back foot. In the meantime, the best thing that we can do is enjoy the games that come our way, even if we're making a few compromises in how we enjoy them. Hey, did you know that we at Gaming Bolt upload new videos every day?
You know what makes me feel good about the ending part is to see like the cold air being blown in. I just like when components stay cool and quiet. And I guess, well, obviously that's why, you know, PCs have the wide open space in them. When you put your motherboard in, it looks so like minuscule compared to the interior, which is good, you know, more space, more airflow. Stays cool, things are way less likely to break, even though, you know, modern components are designed to withstand a pretty decent amount of heat, and even if they get hot enough, they'll shut down before they damage. So that's not even something you generally have to even worry about in the modern day and age. But I love when the system keeps cool. So yeah, that was it, guys. That was my reaction to the RAM prices. I'm guessing they'll stabilize probably, I guess, like 4 to 5 months from now. I'm hoping, at least. I have no way of knowing that. Yeah, I will see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.